Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hello.
So I'm here with the Popoff brothers. Introduce yourselves.
That. It's a cool.
The
there's a nice
Popoff
ring
brothers.
to it.
Popoff.
Pop
Yeah.
off.
It does. It's very, it catches your attention.
Pop off, like popping off, and lit have become two popular
That's right.
terms in pop culture these days. So I think we were
culture.
about 15, 20 years ahead of our time.
What does Popoff mean in pop culture?
Like,
Popping off, like
I don't know,
Isn't
one
that
of the
kinda like
reality
clowning?
shows, a girl was just like, pop off, pop off.
Perfect. So where are we right now? What is this awesome venue that we're sitting in Nashville?
This is the Redneck Social Club.
Okay.
it's our management headquarters.
Which is awesome. It's like a bar, a dance hall. It's kind of like in a cool, like street cred kind of location.
It's got a sort of stripped down music venue, you know, private party vibe.
Do you guys throw some parties in here?
We've been to a couple.
You have?
Yeah.
Okay.
We had actually
Stage over there, and bands get up and jam. And
We got to find a clip to throw in right here of the karaoke that took place. Or was it, I don't know if it was
epic
karaoke.
night of
Oh,
karaoke.
God.
It was sort of like an American
sounded
Idol
like karaoke.
audition. It was amazing.
Was everybody sober doing this?
Oh, absolutely.
So it sounded great.
Yeah.
Right? It was amazing.
So I want to start off with a little rapid fire. First off, well, actually, I want you to describe yourself, but I want to do rapid fire first. What is the coolest venue that you guys have ever played? You guys are in the band Lit, for everyone's listening. Jeremy and AJ Popoff, they are in the band Lit. They're founding members. They're also brothers,
Yes, ma'am.
and they're also amazing. Coolest venue you've ever played?
Man, I'd say some of the European festivals we've done, just like fields of people. That's insane.
I bet.
So I mean, I guess that's not really a venue, but
Red Rocks in Denver.
oh yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
Pretty breathtaking.
it's really pretty.
We've played some amazing little tiny places and some amazing. We played Baltimore Ravens Stadium. That was like our first huge show that we ever
Baller.
played, and that was
Yeah,
like,
that was badass.
you know, an impressionable day because we had never played in something that big before. So that was kind of gnarly, and and it messed us up too because we were on the big screen on the other side of the football field,
Oh,
and
yeah.
so there was a delay. So I was like doing my rock pose, and I saw the screen, and my hands were in a different place than they were on the neck,
Oh,
and
no.
it totally messed me up.
Did it really?
Yeah. So I learned to not look at those screens after that.
Oh, yeah. Was it a bad mess up?
I mean, you know.
It's always weird just seeing a giant version of yourself too.
Right.
You just kind of want to keep looking, and it's very distracting.
That is true. Okay. Craziest place you've ever hooked up with a female? Obviously, before y'all were married.
You mean like a public
Could've
place
been.
kind of thing?
Just the craziest place.
Jeez, that's kind of a trick question.
Yeah, huh?
Because if I say something and it's not a place that I've hooked up with my wife, then I'm going to have some answering to do.
Well, and I love your wife, Lauren, and your fiance. They're both amazing women. Yeah, so, you know,
Thanks.
and respect them.
Man, I guess we're a little bit boring when it comes to that kind of shit.
Probably, I don't know if it was crazy, but it was in a grass field at a school in the middle of the night, and the sprinklers went on.
That's exciting.
So it was covered in fresh cut wet grass, and then I lost my glasses there too.
oh, so you couldn't
And
see where you
so-
were going.
I went back a few days later and I found them in the field. It was kind of like evidence. Like I was finding like trace evidence, you know.
That this really happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if I have a good place. I was actually similar story, but it was with Kevin, our bass player.
Oh,
I was
you guys
actually,
hooked up.
Yeah,
You
we
and
hooked
Kevin.
up in a park. It was really nice, romantic. No, it was
I always
actually there
thought
for
you
the-
guys were too close.
right.
Uh-huh.
He's very handsome.
Yes.
I was there the first time he ever had sex, and it was in a park with a girl, with a punk rock chick with she was like a skinhead.
Oh, wow.
That was his first, and
So
you
he's
witnessed
going to be
it?
super stoked.
I was
that he's
just
talking
yeah, I
about it,
know,
so.
and he's married too, and I think she's probably already heard the story. Let's edit that out. Never mind. These are sensitive questions.
Okay, so we're moving on. Weirdest thing you've ever seen on the road?
Weirdest thing, maybe like we're in the after party like meet and greet stuff. I've autographed a glass eyeball before.
Oh,
That's
like
kinda
in an
weird.
eye?
This guy pulled his eye out and he wanted us to sign his glass eye. That was weird shit.
That's so weird. Yeah.
I think when you're a band touring your first time out, so many things are weird because you're in so many new places and you're meeting new people and the food is different, or the cities look different, and then after a while, like none of it's weird anymore. It's like kind of all normal. So
That's true. Once you've seen so much, it's like anything goes.
yeah.
Favorite country you've been to?
Japan, I think, is my favorite.
Why?
Because for me, I'm not a big fan of flying. I'm not afraid of flying. I'm not a fan of sitting down in a chair for 14 hours.
True.
So if I'm going to go through all that pain and agony of being locked up for that long, when I get off the plane, I want to be somewhere that's like another planet. When you fly from New York to Frankfurt, Germany, you get off the plane, you're like, this looks kind of like anywhere in America,
Yeah.
But when you get to Japan, you're in a foreign country, and it's very modern and cool, and I love the food, I love the culture.
That's awesome. What about you, AJ?
I would probably say Japan as well. I mean, just because it's, if you're going to travel there's so many parts of Europe that just kind of feels like the East Coast or something. It's not super. I don't know. You don't feel like you're traveling really, but I think Holland, like the Netherlands and those places where it's just so clean and tidy, and everything's like compartmentalized, and yeah, I love that part of the world.
Yeah. Okay. Who are y'all's biggest musical influences?
Man, all over the place for us. That's always been, grew up on heavy metal music, so
Right.
Maiden and Judas Priest and all that.
It's almost like you got to pick a decade, because
yeah, you definitely.
The biggest influence on our childhood was probably heavy metal, but the biggest influence in our songwriting probably be more like Elvis Costello. Definitely. Or the Eagles, Don Henley, but as a guitar player, Boston, I love.
Yeah.
So it's like if you threw a year out or a decade out, I could probably name a handful. But we're still influenced by, it's 2016, and there's still people that influence us. But we were born in the 70s, and our dad was on the radio, and he'd bring home albums, and so we were little kids. We didn't know what was pop or rock or metal or country. Mm-hmm. We liked Kenny Rogers and the Cars, and Van Halen and Dolly Parton. It just was all stuff that we had in our living room on vinyl. So, there's so many.
Elvis. Definitely.
Yeah, I like the Elvises.
I do.
Both of them, yeah.
Both
I want to get a tattoo, and I think one of our friends, I can't remember whose idea it was, but I think I'm gonna steal it before someone gets it. But it's a playing card with Elvis Presley and Elvis Costello. The king up,
Nice.
Kings of both sides.
Speaking of tattoos, you guys both have full sleeves that are amazing.
Yeah. Gotta finish this
you.
one, but thank you.
What is your favorite tattoo, and what is your least favorite tattoo that you guys have on your arms?
I think for me, my favorite is probably my tribute to Big Al, our drummer who we lost. That's my El Nino tattoo, but my least favorite is probably my leg tattoo, my first one. It's like a tribal. I don't know what the hell it is, but it's ugly. It's the only one I think I'd cover up. I've got some tattoos that are kind of silly that I'm like, I wouldn't get that again, but I wouldn't cover them up. But that leg one, I will. I'll cover it.
You're not a fan?
Not a fan.
Okay. Well, everyone makes a first mistake.
But I don't show my legs very often anyway, so.
Well, you should. You have great legs.
Get it covered up, right? Chicken
Those
legs.
legs look good, AJ.
Thank you. I look good after I get a tattoo of a chicken bone on it.
What about you, Jeremy?
I do have a leg tattoo that has a similar story. It was my first one, and
You guys both did leg tattoos for the first?
yeah, I don't know why. When we were teenagers, we were like 18, 19, we got our first tattoos, and back then it was like a big commitment, you could start here, but if you could see it from your sleeve, it was going to be harder to get jobs, and
Right.
we already had long hair, so it was already hard enough to find jobs that would deal with our band and our lifestyle. And so that was like, and then if you went below the elbow, it was like, oh wow. And
Now you really can never go
Job
corporate.
security.
Yeah.
now kids are
Keeping in
starting on
music.
their neck. You'll see you see these kids, and they're literally, their first tattoo is like the whole front of their throat, and they take their shirt
Face
off and they got
tattoos,
nothing
man.
else. But I don't know. I went down to the hand recently, and so that is a everyday reminder that it's going to be very hard for me to ever put a suit on go work in the corporate world. So,
But maybe that's kind of why you did it. Just
Well,
to confirm you never will.
and yeah, I never probably would anyways, but it's a daily reminder that I have to go out and kick ass
I love that.
because I don't have a backup option now. Just put a suit on and go work at a wherever.
Right?
Yeah, now you got a hand. It's cool. It's really pretty
Lifestyle security.
Thank you.
though. What is that, a skull?
It's a sugar skull and it's got black diamonds in the eyes, which so does that ring.
Earring.
So yeah, was that thunder?
It's like
I
a
don't know. It
bomb.
sounded like a bomb just went off.
Underground.
What? Okay, so let's start at the beginning. You guys are brothers. Jeremy, how much older are you than AJ?
2 years.
Okay, so you guys formed this first band called Razzle
Oh, boy.
when AJ, you were 14 and
Yeah.
Jeremy, you were 16?
Well, when the band formed around then, but I was a drummer at the time.
I know.
Yeah.
So you switched to singing. How did that happen?
That was like when I was 16, I started singing because we couldn't find a singer that was, half decent. So I said, I'll give it a shot.
So you did not originally want to sing.
No.
Why?
I love drums and I never really thought about, what instrument. Our grandfather was a drummer, jazz musician. So I was exposed to that and had access to his drum kit and it was the first instrument I learned how to play. And then I think it's just after playing a show as a drummer, I just realized I didn't want to be cooped up behind a kit.
You need to run
I
free.
needed to be free.
Run free like the bird that
That's
you are.
right.
Okay, so you switched to singing.
Yeah.
And then Jeremy, you are in the band as guitar. You play
Yeah.
lead guitar.
Yep.
And you're also the original band members, Kevin, Sean, and Alan. Y'all were together the whole time? Y'all formed Razzle and stayed together through Lit the whole time?
No.
Sean didn't, and well, we started out. I was actually in a couple other bands when I was, like 16. I dropped out of high school as a junior to pursue my rock and roll dreams, and they were doing the Razzle thing, and then we all kind of about a year or two later, we all joined up, and so there was a fifth member, guitar player, in the early days, and then it was just me, AJ, Kevin, and Al for
Y'all
like
stuck
20
together
years.
for 20 years.
Yeah.
So that's a
Yeah.
huge dedication to stay through all of the changing of the band names, the changing of the record labels, all of your musical evolution. Y'all never broke up. Don't you think that's sort of rare? in
It is.
bands?
Yeah, extremely. I mean, it's weird. It's something about, I feel like a lot of Orange County bands have stayed together for a really long time. I don't know if it's,
Why is that?
maybe it's just the culture that, that SoCal kind of, I don't know. It
People, I
became like
think-
it was family for us, so.
And you guys never had another option of another job. Like you were like, we're being a band, we're sticking to it. Because sometimes people are scared to commit to a band.
Yeah, you have to, man. I think it's just like anything, career-wise, it's just no backup plan. That was the best way. Especially in the entertainment period, you got to have, you got to devote yourself 100%.
We would always have very menial jobs and make just enough to like cover studio rent for band practice and gas in the car for gigs. And then whatever money we made at the gigs, we would put back into the band to make flyers or print CDs or cassettes or stickers. And we were pretty relentless guerrilla marketers. This is, before social media and that kind of stuff. So our social media was us being socially active, and we would just go out to multiple bars, multiple concerts, anywhere where there was people hanging out that we thought might like what we were doing. We would go there with piles of stuff to give them, and we'd stand outside of shows and just give them. And that worked really, because we were, by the time we got a record deal, we were.
Is that what got you the record deal? Just going out and hustling and.
I think-
Razzle was your first record deal with Razzle.
No,
we never got a record deal with Razzle.
It switched to Stain,
Stain, yeah.
but then there's another band called Stain, so you came up with Lit, which I love the name Lit.
Lit was the name of the first album, so the band was Stain. The album was called Lit.
But you didn't have a record deal with Stain.
We got signed to a
Delicious Vinyl.
Yeah, a hip hop label called Delicious Vinyl.
it was, Malicious Vinyl was their, Wicked Stepchild for the rock stuff.
Okay. So Delicious Vinyl.
Yeah.
First
So
record.
they had Tone Loc, and they had Young MC, and they had The Far Side, and they were like a really cool, especially now looking back, they're a really cool, credible hip hop label. But they had this couple crazy dudes that worked there that were really into rock and roll, and so they convinced them to let them sign a couple of rock bands, and so that
How
was
did
like
they
our.
find you?
and we were in a bar in San Diego in front of
That's right.
like 9 people, and they were like 2 of the 9 people.
And they loved it.
Yeah.
So
But-
how did you guys change from Razzle? Why did y'all dump Razzle, the band name?
I think it's a lot of it was just the evolution of the band. It's when you've been together that long, you grow. We were just little kids when we started the first one, and we just changed. We kind of outgrew it. It just felt too high
Razzle
school.
dazzle?
Yeah, it was a little too bright for us.
You guys are bright. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Yeah.
Sunshine
Not
boys.
that sweet though.
We were changing, music was changing, everything was just kind of, we, you know, I think with any artist, the more you do it, and as you start doing it for longer, you start to figure out what it is that you want to do, you
But
know.
you guys started off more heavy metal-ish, or heavier, right?
Well, we were all over the place,
Heavier.
like we still are kind of. We were never afraid to get really heavy or to get really emotional and sad. You know, we were always kind of pushing it a little farther in either direction. And then I think when we started to have some success, that we started to kind of focus it in a little bit more on what we felt we were the best at.
What do you feel like that is? What
Well-
are you the best at?
I don't know.
I'm
Still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we geek out on songwriting. We love to, you know, once we started collaborating with other writers, it sort of exposed us and opened us up to, you know, just not limiting ourselves and always being open to kind of evolve and let it happen. And if it felt right, we just would always go with it. So, you know, if you listen from one album to the next, we've kind of constantly changed a little bit. And
What's the underlying theme, though, that connects all the records?
we like to drink and we like to.
Is that what
Yeah,
lit
we like
means?
a good
You
time.
like to get lit up?
It's I don't. Yes, we kind of think. I think lit's more of an energy for us. We've always been kind of lumped into the. We've had in the beginning a lot of stoner followers and people. Oh, yeah, let's get lit.
Oh, yeah.
And we're, you know.
Well, we also had the guy who directed our very first video, after the show, when he saw us play live, he said, and this is when we were still called Stain, he said, seeing you guys live is like watching a bomb go off in a building. And so we were thinking, oh, that's kind of cool. Bomb, fuse, lit, like getting ready to explode, like that kind of thing. So
Isn't finding a band name it's the worst?
yeah, it sucks.
It's like
I hope I don't
impossible.
ever have to do that again.
Oh, man. I mean, the process of that is exhausting.
Yeah.
And then you find when you like Stain, and you realize it's taken. But I'm glad y'all moved on.
Yeah, I think lit suits us a lot better.
And actually,
Stain.
Yeah.
well, the funny story about that is that Stain, the band Stain, or Stained,
Stained.
Aaron Lewis,
Yeah. Oh,
They
no,
got-
he's doing country music.
yeah, they got sued by the same guy we got sued by when we were called Stained, but the difference was we were like, F you to the guy, and they were like, all right, we'll pay you. So those guys
really?
actually paid the guy off, and
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was Aaron Lewis's band that was the Stain that was the problem.
No, it was
Stain.
like a writer for Thrasher magazine or something. He
Oh, man.
Yeah,
Some-
sitting
some
on the name.
Oh, man.
Lame.
So what was it like? You guys have been playing since you're like teenagers. Now you get this first record deal. What happens now? Like, what is your life looking like?
I mean, after the first record deal, not a whole lot changed. You know, we just kept doing what we were doing and actually had copies of the record to sell. You know, I guess that was the difference. But
Were you still like self-promoting, or was the record label helping?
they helped a little bit. I mean, printed posters and
the first deal was very
Pictures for
indie,
us.
and we would go up to Hollywood 2-3 times a week and go in the mailroom and stuff envelopes and stuff, you know, and use their copier to print stuff, and just we would try to do everything we could to take advantage of whatever resources that there were. But I mean, the
Same with RCA,
real
for that matter.
beginning for us was when RCA got a copy of My Own Worst Enemy, and it was weird how it happened because they'd already passed on us like 2 or 3 times.
Did you make that with Delicious? So you guys were out of your Delicious deal, and now you're a free agent. So that kind of just dissolved over time.
Yeah.
It was a great launching point, but it kind of dissolved.
Honestly, I don't even remember. We may have still been with them, and I think they probably just let us go because they knew it would be better for us. I mean, I
Okay.
don't remember all the details then, but
So now you made a new album after that deal.
we did some demos, and on that demo was My Own Worst Enemy, Miserable.
Dang.
They were like, 2
4.
top 5 hits out of 4 songs
that got passed on.
that
by
everybody
everyone.
passed on.
Can you believe that? Isn't
Yeah,
that
it's
so funny how the music industry works?
Yeah, but the
That's
cool
lame.
thing is our manager at the time, Ruta Sepetys, her name was on the CD with her phone number, and a radio promo rep at RCA recognized her name from a college that they went to in Michigan together like years past, and he was like, whoa, no way. So he took it into his office and put it in, and he flipped out over that song, and then
He
he
was
went.
working at RCA.
Yeah. And so he went down the hall. It was just a weird thing, and then next thing, it happened really fast after that. It went from, they heard it, they wanted it, we signed with them, we were in the studio like 2 weeks later, and then we finished the record right before Christmas time, and then January 2nd, K-Rock started playing My Worst Enemy.
Well, there was actually a station that started playing the demo, and we had to they had to send him a cease and desist
Really?
letter because it was a demo version and we weren't anywhere
Oh.
near close to ready to release. So
It was one of them
was kinda cool.
crazy things. It
But
just,
isn't that those stories crazy because you've now been in the industry like probably 5 to 10 years really doing it at this point?
yeah, over 10 years.
Over 10 years, and it feels like that's magical. Like someone randomly gets your CD and then you get a record deal. But there's 10 years of like
Development.
hustling, developing, but then that's just your lucky break. That's the kind of stories that are
Yeah.
crazy because it's really like 10 years of hard work, but then finally something
Sure.
clicks.
it's, yeah, the stars eventually have to kind of align in your
Do you
favor.
believe that?
Totally. I mean, because there's too many people, and I didn't used to believe that.
So tell me about
Like
this.
15 years ago, people would say, "Oh, there's so many talented people that never make it," and I would always kind of felt at that time like, "Well, no, there's something missing. Like they might be talented, but they don't have anything for people to invest in. Like they don't have a vibe or an image, or their show sucks, or they're great in the studio, or vice versa. They're great performers, but they don't write great songs." Or I always just felt like there must be some piece that's missing. Otherwise, why aren't you making it?
So you believe that if all the pieces are together, you will eventually make it.
I used to believe that until I started coming to Nashville.
And then what?
And then I've actually seen a lot of people get kind of overlooked.
But do you think it eventually comes around if you stick with it long enough?
Certainly can. I mean,
Times have definitely changed a lot, so that's a tough question to answer.
And with YouTube, there's so much more access to finding artists, I guess.
there's people now that are experiencing a lot of success and they have no experience. There's people with a
Right.
lot of experience that never get the success. I don't think that was the case 20 years ago. I think you had to really, 15 years ago, I think you had to really bust ass, develop your local following.
To get heard and seen in
and
the
then
first
maybe
place.
try to expand that to a regional following. And I mean, bands that if you think back in like the late 90s or early 2000s, I mean, bands like the Dave Matthews Band that were selling out stadiums had a huge college following, just showing up, playing in bars,
Yeah.
playing at frat parties. Like they built these like legions of fans over time. And then they sort of turned the tables on the industry, and the industry had to come follow because there was something happening.
So much.
And now it's kind of,
That's like a band like Dirty Heads is doing that now. You see some bands that still kind of get it and they're working it, but they'll have following. They'll be able to tour forever.
Right. Because
Which
they
is
have their,
huge.
just their grassroots following they've built. I feel like that is true. Like in Southern California, especially in this era when you guys were emerging, there was a lot of bands coming out of there. Like No Doubt came out of that
Yep.
region too. Who else is in there?
Offspring, Sugar Ray.
Were you guys all kind of happening at the same time?
They kind of beat us a little bit.
within a few
used to
years,
it,
you
but
had
yeah,
you
we were
had
out.
Offspring and No Doubt, and you had even like Korn and
Oh, yeah.
but Orange County. I mean, it's so crazy the history that comes out of there.
What time period was that? What year? What were the years?
That was all 90s ish,
Okay.
Late
And then-
90s into 2000, early
and then
2000s.
since then you've had bands like Avenged Sevenfold
Mm-hmm.
and Young the Giant, and then I mean, country wise too. I mean, there's been Gary Allen's from Orange County,
Oh, yeah.
and Jackson Brown is actually from Fullerton, where we're from, there's a street that runs through Santa Ana called Raitt, and that's Bonnie Raitt's dad is
Oh,
that's
wow.
named after him. So there's a lot of history in where we come from. It's a really spread out county. It's not like a little scene. It's like
Yeah.
we didn't know all those bands until we were
On tour with
we
them.
met them in at some festival in New York or something.
So you guys get signed in this 2-week period. It's like a magical thing that happens, and you're recording your album. You put out My Own Worst Enemy. Tell me what that's like, because this is the biggest charting rock song in 1999, if ever, right? It's one of the biggest rock songs that ever was.
We had a good run with it.
Was it like 12 weeks at the top of the charts?
11 weeks at #1.
That's insane.
That's crazy. Yeah, it was fun. We
What
got
did life look like?
Well, we were still in an RV, and we hadn't.
Everyone thinks it gets so glamorous so fast.
Well, we
we
had
took
all
our time kind of
it was-
before we started blowing our money. And we definitely
That's
stayed smart and efficient for a while, and until we just thought we deserved a little luxury, so we went for the bus.
Well, we couldn't. we got to a point where we couldn't really drive ourselves around anymore. We were it was getting a little crazy. But when you're in the middle of the country and you have 6 weeks, 7 weeks of dates left, and all your stuff is packed in this RV, you have to get home first to unpack it so that you could get a bus.
Yeah.
And so we were pulling up to all these.
So you guys had a tour booked and everything. You're doing your own thing when this happened.
We were when that song finally got to #1 in the summertime. We were out. We were playing Woodstock and playing, on tour with the Offspring and the Warped Tour, and we were doing all this stuff. That year we left home in January, and we left home in January of '99, and we didn't come back till September of 2000.
Really?
Literally 18 months we were gone from home.
Like, didn't come home once?
Just like spotty. not even bring your suitcase in, just like bring your backpack in and
wow.
hang for a little bit. But yeah, it was crazy. Like the whole video, treatments too. Like the song was before we were like, as soon as it was done recording, when we were done recording it, we had video producers submitting their treatments, and we were kind of thrown into a makeup room and all this new stuff that $350,000 video, from never experiencing any of that. And then next thing you know, we're on MTV, we're on TRL.
So
but that all happened really quickly.
Were you guys ready for that? Were you ready for this instant fame? I know y'all had wanted it, but like that changed overnight for you guys, literally, right?
I think we were ready for it. I mean, nothing was like, like you say, we were kind of priming over the course of 10 plus years, and we were really comfortable on stage. We were comfortable, we had already done a million interviews and with local fanzines and things like that. So that's the difference, I think, between something like an American Idol winner and a band that's been kind of put through the
You're not quite ready. The American Idol, like haven't had that preparation time period.
You might have some media training and extensive amount of that, but yeah, not really. When you get on the stage and that connection with a crowd, that happens over time, learning how to work that.
So what was the fan situation like? What was like, were girls just throwing them stuff at you guys? Was that crazy to be like walking down the street and everyone know who you are? And Jeremy, at that point you had a long beard too, like a long braided beard, which you've cut off, which I always loved your beard.
Yeah, I had a long beard for a long time, and that was kind of my calling card. But
how did you decide to cut that off?
Actually, it was when our drummer Al passed away, and it was kind of an end of an era. So I not to bring it down, but we were at the funeral, and people were putting stuff in the ground, like letters and pictures and bottles of Jack Daniels and drumsticks or whatever, and I didn't have anything to put in there, and I was like looking, I'm like, well, my watch isn't really going to do him any good, and so his daughter was there, and I had the grave digger guy that was over digging another grave, and I called him over. I'm like, hey, you have any scissors? And he went and got me this big old pair of rusty, shears, and his daughter cut it off right there, and then threw it in the ground with him. So
if you're ever gonna cut it off, that's the way to.
So it's kind of a tribute to him, and kind of the end of an era that day. But yeah. So to go back to what you were talking about, I think the only thing about that time that, looking back on it, when I watch videos and I see stuff, I'm like, man, I wish we would have been able to kind of soak that in a little bit more and enjoy that a little bit more, because they had us running so ragged that we didn't know our head from our ass. We didn't know if we were coming or going, and we knew it was awesome and we were having a great time, but we were, a few months in, we were so exhausted because we were just burning the candle at not only both ends, but in the middle too. It was gnarly. And
how did you guys keep your health up and keep your relationships with the band up? Because that is probably a little, I guess you'd had all that practice.
A lot of drinking. Kept it all in perspective. No,
that was the one thing that
you learn the hard way a few times, I guess. You get run down and you start stocking the bus up with vitamins and, to kind of offset the drinking, and you learn how to drink a lot of water. Definitely, you fall down a few times before you
figure out your system.
Yeah.
And you guys always got along it was just the four of y'all, right?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all always got along?
Yeah,
for the most part?
We always had a road crew that was like family too, so we were just like this, unstoppable unit on the road. It was really cool looking back.
It was kind of a neat thing that there wasn't really any one particular person that was getting, it was kind of all for one for all, and we would come back into the bus at the end of the night, and we were just the same knuckleheads that we were 5 years ago, 10 years ago. We still watching the same stuff on the TV, drinking the same cheap beer and you know, playing CeeLo and poker and
Yep.
stuff with our friends. And I think that we had that foundation that we had built, and that's what kind of kept us through all the roller coaster ride.
So my own worst enemy is huge, massive. And then here comes miserable. And you guys are crawling all over Pamela Anderson, which unfortunately it's not a real version of Pamela Anderson, but it's like a giant Pamela. How was that?
Even better. It was killer. I don't know.
That's the coolest music video I've ever seen. Or what an
Thank you.
original
That's one of my
concept.
favorite videos of all time.
Okay, so Pamela Anderson, does she eat you, Jeremy?
She eats all of us.
Oh,
yeah.
she eats all of you. Who's
Yeah.
the last to survive?
I think AJ's the last one that
You're
goes
the
in.
Yeah.
You hang on the longest?
I was hanging on her ear for a while there at the end. That's an interesting thing you can YouTube is the TV show that Pam did called VIP, where they wrote an entire episode about the band. So we got our shot at acting and
Oh,
We're really
hanging
good
out
actors.
Pam.
I believe it,
you'll see.
actually.
Especially if the one on YouTube, I think, is German
It's
subtitles.
called Hard Val's
So-
Night. Oh yeah, that's amazing.
really
Watch.
gives it a nice touch.
so you guys friends with Pamela Anderson? Or do you know her?
We were. I
She
mean,
ate you.
we
She's
haven't,
amazing. She's great.
we haven't talked to her in a long time, but she was very sweet to do our video.
And that was
Was-
her prime time, too.
Yeah.
She was on fire.
Yeah.
She
great.
a couple years later, we were on tour with Kid Rock, and that was when they were together. And she made a point, you know, when she would come out, she would always make a point to come in our dressing room and hang out with us and say hi and check in. And she was just always very sweet and very down to earth, very, you know, and just a real pro, you know.
Yeah.
It's just she totally knew her drill, and she just kind of, I don't know, it was neat. It was a neat process to be a part of, you know.
The same time period, Jeremy, you did Cribs, which was amazing. I just watched your whole Cribs thing. And you have like a Tiki Jetson vibe going on, is how you described it. Your house. Tell me what that was like.
I've just always been into mid-century modern furniture and stuff, and it's evolved over the years. And I've always kind of just before music paid the bills, I used to buy and sell furniture, and I used to have to set up the store and set up little scenes and all that. So I've just always kind of had an eye for design and stuff. So the nice thing about that time frame is I was able to afford some stuff that up until then I was only admiring from afar. So I was able to buy some cool stuff, and it was fun. The Cribs episode, it looked like we were just drinking and partying and had a bunch of friends over at the house.
Yeah.
But that's how it was. Once we were home and got a little bit of time to celebrate with our friends and our family, that was what it was like every night. Just people coming over, people hanging out, barbecuing, having drinks, just, enjoying your first house. I mean, you know how it is. It's just, it's awesome. And people.
So you guys are big community people. Like you guys, y'all love a big group of friends.
We live in a really cool town. Yeah, and we've had the same friends
In Fullerton.
forever. Yeah, so we like to, and now they all have kids and they're all married and have their own houses. So we definitely love to get everyone together and barbecue, and that's what it's all about.
So after this time period, you did the My Own Worst Enemy, Miserable, Ziploc. That was another great one.
Yeah, we filmed that at the house where they filmed the Rat Pack movie.
Oh, nice.
So it was just that was all about everything we loved. We were very we're one of those bands that fancied ourselves the rock and roll Rat Pack.
When did you guys feel like you have arrived? Like, did you have a moment where you're like, okay, we're doing this. Like, we are stars. We have arrived on the scene. And how did that change your mentality?
I don't know. So I guess it was kind of surreal being in Times Square and hanging out with Carson Daly and having a bunch of kids in the street
Did you do TRL and stuff?
We did TRL a few times, and that's to me that's one of the most surreal time periods.
This was the MTV era too. Like this is when MTV was so happening, and
Yeah, we had never been in New York City, so it was just like, what the hell? It's crazy.
It was we got very lucky that we were able to see and experience, because that was kind of the end of all that. It was the end of selling a million CDs. And it was
so y'all sold 1 million CDs.
we sold more than that, but I mean that was when
Wow.
people still bought CDs and
Yeah.
You're a platinum artist. That's a very small club.
What's
Yeah.
anymore? It's like it's just what do you
Platinum downloads.
If we wanted to go buy a CD right now, well, where would we even go?
I know.
We'd have to go to Music
Walmart.
Row and just walk into an office and grab one. But like, you wouldn't, that we kind of rode that last wave, and we also rode that last wave of MTV playing music videos
Yeah.
and their shows like TRL, which would be cool if that element of it came back, because I feel like there's that it's missing that like fan interaction, like
Right.
That's
you
become
know,
now the new TRLs like Twitter and Instagram. I
Right.
guess that kind of thing that they can get closer that way. But yeah, it used to be you'd have to like wait out in front of the MTV building or whatever and hope to get a glimpse of
Oh,
someone.
yeah.
With
I mean, I
off
remember
guard.
one of the first we got to experience what it was like to have fans camped out in front of your hotel.
How was
And
that?
like you get out of your van and try to walk from the van to the lobby, and you have to stop and sign stuff and take. I mean, now it's back then. We'd stay in hotels under fake names so that people couldn't find you. And now
What were your names?
people are twittering, "Hey, I'm at the such and such hotel. Come see me." And it's like it's like
You
a
were
whole
wanting them to
different
come.
planet
True.
now. But it's crazy.
What were y'all's fake names? Are
Got
you
a
still
few
using
a
them?
few different ones.
Mine was Mr. Blonde.
I went with Mr. E for a while.
What does Mr. E mean?
Say it again.
Mr. E.
Mystery.
Mr. E. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, creative.
There you go. I think
Okay.
I think I stole it from someone else. I can't remember. Probably Elvis.
Obviously.
All right.
So you guys toured with a lot of people. Butch Walker, No Doubt, Kid Rock. What was those tours like? How's No Doubt? Gwen Stefani's amazing. And not
They're
forgetting
great.
Blake Shelton, which is super cool.
Yeah, they're all great.
Who would have ever paired them together?
Never.
I mean,
It's a trip. We've never had any bad experiences with tours. We've always been lucky and had a great time with all the bands we've gone out with. I don't know what you think. Gwen's an Anaheim girl. She's like, she's very much like a lot of people we grew up with, and very
we're all
down to earth.
we're still friends with a lot of the people that we've toured with. And I think there was only one band, and I'm not just saying this because I don't want to throw them under the bus, but I don't even remember their name. But there was one band that we sent home one time after one show because we just always had such good chemistry with anybody that we toured with, and that if we sensed that wasn't going to be the case, we would either pass or we would,
Nip it.
What was the vibe you liked to tour with? Like, what's the vibe you were looking for on the road?
I mean, going out with 1,000 Horses, that was a fun tour. I mean, it's just we started to feel like just one big band, and everybody, after you're done with sound check, you all meet up for dinner, or, we'd have those guys on our bus all the time and go to the next town with us. And we wanted to feel like one big crew,
That was cool. When 1,000 Horses was getting started, you guys took them out on a tour with you guys.
Yeah,
yeah.
That was a really
great time.
cool moment.
And our fans dug those guys. They're a great band. It was, great guys, great friends. So
So you guys just want to have fun. You want to be a family.
Yeah.
Like a band of brothers.
There's too much downtime on the road
Yeah.
to if the people that you're around all day or on days off or after the show, if that group of people aren't like your second family, then it makes being on the road even that much more, trying and taxing, because it's just you're there's so many hours of
Yeah.
in the day.
And you have to sacrifice a lot to be on the road. Like families, wives, not being
Oh, yeah.
with them, or your kids. So
it's tough.
so you have to make it worth it, I guess. That's what
Yeah.
you're saying.
And you want to have a good time, and you want to help people out too. You want to give bands a shot at stuff, and you also you want to open up for cool people too, so you can. I mean, it's just the touring community is different. Everybody's in the same kind of boat. Whether you're in 4 buses or you're in a van, you're still away from your family. You're still away from your kids or your wives or your girlfriends, and you're doing what you love to do. But there's a lot of. It's not It's awesome, but it's not easy,
What do you love so much about it? Why is it so awesome?
and you get to do what we love doing,
Which is performing.
performing
writing songs.
and connecting with people that have already connected with you, to be able to be out on the road and go from town to town and have that in common with all these, people coming to the shows. And we're one of those bands that hangs out with the people that came out to see us. We'll hang out until the last person leaves, so that's what it's all about, is being
So
able
you
to
guys
connect.
never got big heads. So you were always cool to hang
I don't know
with
about this
anybody.
guy, man.
He did.
No, we've, you know where you come from, you know how much work it takes to get there, and without the support of all the fans, you know, you really
point
got,
being an asshole.
you don't have shit.
Okay, so after that big error of like this big record you guys had, a little bit of tragedy, well, a lot of tragedy struck you guys with your parents and your drummer. So how did life change for you guys when that phase hit? And how did it make you reevaluate? Because your drummer passed away and your parents were in a car accident.
Yeah, it was back to back. Well, I don't know how back to back it was, but definitely
It's pretty close.
period of a couple of years that just felt like no matter what, like you try to get up and you just, we kept getting like pulled back down.
Our mom and stepdad were on their Harley, and they got hit head on by a drunk driver. So he was killed, and she barely survived. She was really, really critical for a long time and was in the hospital for several months. And so we had to kind of put music on hold for a little while because we had to be there 2, 3, 4 shifts a day at the hospital, taking turns and working with the doctors and the nurses and all that. It was a really like life-changing time. And then, but what came from that was my first trip to Nashville to start experiencing this place and writing country music and doing all that. And so it opened up it was like this really dark period of time, and then this little window over here kind of opened up, and like the sun kind of shined through it, and it was like, oh, okay.
How did that window open up?
Our manager at the time just kind of tricked me into coming out here. I think
You're like country, cowboy boots.
I mean, we had been here a bunch of times just on tour and playing. We were fortunate enough to get to play the Starwood and the.
Oh, nice.
But it was so yeah, there was that, and then we kind of fired back up, and then things were starting to ramp back up. We were actually getting ready to go on tour with Kiss in Europe when the news came down about our drummer, Alan. So then we had to push pause again, and then we had to be around to take care of him, and to be there for him and to support him, and that was another several months of being on the pause button. And
not just pause, but we had to decide whether or not we were going to keep, moving forward as a band.
Because y'all had been together 20 years at this point, right?
Yeah, we were never a band that we never had to audition anybody.
Yeah.
We never, we just always were, So to decide, okay, well, Al's not in the band. Do we have, we're going to keep playing. We're going to make another record. And I think it was Nathan, who's our drummer now, was close with Alan, and he just it was just a natural. He had kind of already been helping when Al got really sick, and he would get up there with him and take over when he got too tired, and so
awesome.
just naturally he kind of just
He was kind
passed
of like
the torch.
approved by Alan.
Absolutely.
yeah,
So I mean that definitely was part of the organic, thing that happened that kept us moving. And then I think like Jeremy's talking about coming here and finding some new inspiration, and then I started coming here with him and met so many great writers and learned how to kind of expand my horizons writing wise, and have learned a lot. This has been the school of Nashville has been pretty crazy.
Were you guys surprised to see that it's not just so like podunk like people think? Nashville is really not.
Not at all.
It's so diverse.
Yeah, no,
it was
we love
it was
here.
diverse. I mean, I started coming here 10 years ago, and it's changed 100% since then. But even then, it's pretty diverse. I mean, it's never been this like backwoods country thing. It's always been pretty, diverse, I guess is the word.
So what does life look like for you guys in Nashville?
Like today?
Yeah, like
now?
with your career. Like what is happening with you guys in the Nashville community? Like what does that look like for y'all? Are you guys writing country songs, or is Lit going more country, or where is the direction of your music these days?
I mean, it has. It's definitely taken on a little bit of a country flavor. I don't know. It depends on who you're asking. When there's people that when they think of country music, they feel like it's changed so much, and the lines have gotten blurred, and there's a lot of crossover. So I don't really necessarily think we claim to be country. We definitely have that influence on our music now. And I mean, I think so much of the country music, that's all I listen to. I think it's just been, all these life changes. You know what I mean? When you hear country music, it's a lot more relatable to a guy that's been through loss and guys that have been married and divorced and have kids now
And not even just that, but it's also, we still write songs about having a good time. We still write songs about girls, and we still write songs about drinking. And that really has been completely absent from rock and roll in the last 10 years. I don't know of any band that's come out that you hear on a rock station that writes songs that have anything to do with what we write songs about. Country is a different story. We write about the same stuff. And so...
And country's kind of opened up to rock, I feel like. Like, you have Steven Tyler coming in. Even, like, my husband's been 1,000 Horses. They're kind of southern rock. Like,
right.
I feel like
well, and
it's opening its arms.
It's not just rock. I mean, there's a lot of bands. I mean, when you see their shows, I mean, it's a rock show with country leaning production with music wise, but it's I mean, and there's several country artists. I mean, you can't walk down Broadway in any of those honky tonks without hearing them play one of our songs. They're going to play our song as many times as they're going to play Friends in Low Places.
Right, exactly.
And it's just, we're all singing, there's some bands, we used to say this a long time ago, but it kind of still applies. Like, there's some bands that you listen to with your headphones on, and, with your eyes closed. And then there's some bands that you put on the boombox when you're hanging out with your friends. And we kind of always wanted to be that band.
Yeah. You guys are a great time. You
Like,
make people happy.
Don't dissect our music too much or read too far into it. Just turn it up and just hang out and have a good time. And that's, I think that's why we relate so much to the country audience, and they relate to us. And we're such good friends with, our best friends are 1,000 Horses and Jamie Johnson, and the guys that people would be surprised at how intertwined we have been with that community for
So
as many years as we have. But we were talking about this week. It's funny because the fans are kind of the same, and we're the only people now that I guess that we have to convince, if that's the word you want to use, is the old school gatekeepers that are deciding whether or not the country fans get to hear it.
So true, and there's just a few of them. And they definitely
Still holding that
hold
key.
the key. They definitely hold the key.
Yeah.
So, what have you guys learned, like your evolution? How have you guys? You have transitioned so much through your career. What has made all these transitions just flow for you guys? Because y'all have never quit. You've had several record deals, kind of changed direction. You've dealt with tragedy, and yet y'all been together 20 plus years. How have you managed to stay fluid?
So, loving making songs and loving playing them live. I mean, ultimately, it's still a process that, we're going to leave here in a few minutes and go over to Jeffrey Steele's house and write with him, one of our favorite writers of all time. And it's such a walking into his place with nothing but a guitar and walking out with a song that you're stuck in your head for 3 days is that's mind-blowing to us still after 20 years and having some hits and selling some records or whatever, to still be that excited about, I wonder what's going to happen today. That's the thing. It's like going fishing, you could not catch anything, or it's like golf, that one golf shot will keep you coming back time and time again, even if you suck.
And it's kind of fun that you don't know what you're going to get. It kind of makes it magical.
Yeah,
it really is. And it's a process that we've never gotten used to, and it's a process we've never taken for granted. So I think it's that. And then I think also, we have stepped away. We've never stepped away completely, but I own a bar restaurant in California.
Slide bar.
Yeah, the Slide Bar.
Which is so rad.
AJ owns a salon, and
Both these are in Fullerton.
yeah.
so
Love
we
it.
do other things too. So you can't just be 100% all the time one thing, I don't think, because you'll just go crazy. So it's nice to be able to step away and dive into something head first for a couple weeks, and then go back and dive into the music and go out and play some shows, and then come back and spend time with your family, and go to your kid's football game, and
You guys both have kids.
Yeah, I have a 13-year-old daughter about to enter the fun years.
Oh gosh.
High school coming up.
Y'all
Yeah.
have it coming for you guys.
I know.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's payback time.
And you have a son, Jeremy.
Good
Who's
thing.
how old?
Jake is 14.
Yeah, so okay, they're right. Same age.
Jake
Yeah,
will be
Jake's a little older.
beating up the boys that are not
That's
not
good.
being appropriate with
built-in.
Presley.
She's
Okay,
got built-in
good.
security.
So what are you guys looking forward to most musically 2016? What does it look like for Lit 2016? In the direction you're headed, where are you guys going?
We've been, we're stoked on. We've recorded 6 songs so far, like masters. We're here this week writing more. Hopefully, we're just looking to we'll have a single out hopefully by summer.
Nice.
And shows coming
Get
up.
out and play with some of these guys we're talking about.
Heck yeah.
Some more shows.
Okay, so I like to end my podcast with a little thing called Leave Your Light. Just give me some inspiration to all the listeners out there based on your life.
Man.
Are we is everybody stumped on this one or?
It can be anything. It doesn't have to be super deep, or just some inspiration that you tell maybe to some other people trying to do music, or what you have learned through your journey.
And one of my favorite quotes is if you ain't growing, you're dying. So constantly try and push it a little bit. I'd say keep pushing the envelope. Get out of your comfort zone.
I love that. Got anything to add, Jared?
I think that whether you're making music or you're making jewelry or you're doing hair or you're doing any you're being creative, and if people are into what you're doing and you're getting good feedback, then there's no reason to ever doubt that couldn't translate into bigger and bigger success. You always have to kind of look back, and if you're doing something and no one's really reacting, then maybe you got to take a look at it. But if the feeling is like, wow, this is cool, that's how we always felt about our music, and I think that we just followed that. We just hold on to the believers, keep them close, and keep them motivating you, and the people. I've found that usually the naysayers are just kind of people that have failed in their own, on their own way to wherever they're at. So I don't know if that makes any sense.
That's awesome.
Amen.
So like believe in yourself and hold on to that little fire.
Yeah, just be smart about it,
Yeah.
If you're doing something and it's not quite dialed in yet, then dial it in, throw it back out there,
Follow the signs.
So you guys, are y'all good at taking a little bit of constructive criticism?
Sure.
Absolutely. But only to a certain point,
You gotta
'Cause
stay true.
There's a difference between constructive criticism and naysayers, So you kind of have to have a good gauge of what's gonna, I guess, who you're listening to.
And social media has really messed up people's ability to be themselves and stick to it, because it doesn't matter what you do. You could go on Facebook right now and say, hey, I'm going to give away $100 to everybody I see, and there's 10 or 20 people are going to go, oh, 100 and why not 1,000?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
oh, that's stupid, whatever. We're almost forced to post multiple things a day, and you're almost like, you check back and it's like, oh, I wonder why that didn't get very many likes, or the comments are always it's just
Always looking for approval, and
it messes with your head.
gonna
Like
hold
that,
you back,
there was
yeah.
a time where you just did your thing and you just went for it, and a publicist told me a few years ago, he's like, which I always try to remind AJ because he's a little more sensitive to it than I am, but whatever you do, don't read the blogs or now everything's a blog, but it's like, whatever you do, don't read the blogs, and if you do that, whatever you do, don't read the comments.
Oh.
And
yeah.
so, and
People
I've
are ruthless.
they're brutal, and I've actually learned over the years that if you don't read them, they really don't exist.
It's true.
That's so true. It's whatever you put in your own reality.
Yeah, if you never read the comment section, a negative comment will never mess up your
I've
day.
gotten to the point now too, because you have control. If someone says something rude or negative, you can delete it for no one sees it. And I've gotten to the point now where I'll leave the most fucked up shit just so I can and I learn to kind of laugh at it. Like, okay, I'll let the fans, the diehards,
Get after them.
handle this.
That's
But,
a great piece of advice, though. Just don't look at it.
yeah.
It's hard. It's hard, but it works if you don't.
Okay, you guys. AJ and Jeremy Popoff from the band Lit. Thank you guys
Thanks,
for
Caroline.
joining me on my podcast. You guys are
Excited.
amazing. This will be
So are you.
launching
Thanks for
soon.
having us. All right.
So happy to have y'all. Peace.